All right, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is finally time to announce the -G Class 1 kit. So we've got the TCV1, the CCV1, and the SCV1, which those were Class 2 kits. They're more designed for like Class 2 comp trucks or cheater trucks. And then this is the first Class 1 build. And if you're not familiar, Class 1 trucks are typically designed to be used with hard bodies. This is a RC four-wheel drive Mojave 2, I think is what it is. So they're designed to be run with hard bodies with like lots of scale accessories, because with Class 1 competition, or with Class 2, I guess as well, you get scored a lot based on your scale accessories, because it's like a points-based system. So the more accessories you have, whether they're functional or non-functional, counts towards your total score. And you get a lot of points for using a hard body. They're typically not, as LCG as a Class 2 truck or a cheater truck, but with this being -G, it's as LCG as possible, which it's still pretty good. So we'll just pop the top off and start talking about it. I've only got it attached to the skids with some grub screws, and I'll show the body a little bit later. So take this out. So this is the basic layout of the chassis, and if you look at it, it looks very similar to a -G truck, just kind of shrunken down. And so the reason why this took so long to release, because we actually started testing these back in like June. And the first prototype was this aluminum railed version. It's got the -G transfer case with the primary drive up front. But when Jess designed this, the Class 1 rules were such that you had to have aluminum rails and detachable shock hoops. So that's how we built it, and that's how we started testing it. But in June, July, like in the fall, Sorka announced that they were going to revise the rules. So Jess basically put this on hold, and he's like, well, I'm not going to release a kit until I know what the rules are. And it's kind of a good thing he did, because in the updated rules, they went away from the aluminum rails and detached shock hoops. So now you can just have carbon flat rails like an LCG crawler for your Class 1 truck. So you're going to be saving weight. It lowers the costs, it saves weight, and you end up with a truck that's just going to be more capable overall because of that lower mass. There are a few things that are different about this kit compared to the Class 2 kits. And it's more so that it's just like a shortened wheelbase, because Class 1 trucks are typically, I want to say they're like 11.3 inches, but don't quote me on that. So a couple of things that are unique is that it's not designed for a specific set of axles. When you buy the kit, in the instructions, it's going to have link sizes for TRX4 axles or AR45 portals. Again, -G, we only do portal axles just because of the performance benefit. So when you get the kit and you open the instructions, you'll have link lengths for TRX4 axles or the AR45s, and you'll also have to choose the motor plate. Let's see, can we see that? Right here, you'll have to choose the motor plate depending on the axles, because a lot of people hate on TRX4 axles, but let me see if I can somehow show this. But the nice thing about TRX4 axles is where the pinion is located, it allows the motor to be lower. So if we look at it from the side, like when when he started with the TCV1, we started with TRX4 axles, and the motor is so low that it'll actually scrape on the rocks. And that's just like a cosmetic issue. But the TRX4 axles allow everything else, like working in conjunction, to be really low slung, which lowers the center of gravity. And then for shocks, you'll want to use your own shocks. And you can use 90 millimeter shocks, but I'm using the DravTech Ultra Shorts just because smaller wheelbase, smaller tires. I figured that would be a good call. And if you don't know, Class 1 tires are typically 4.19 instead of the 4.75. So everything's smaller, everything's a little less performance in Class 2, and it's definitely more focused on the scale side of it. You don't have to, but you want to have like metal bumpers because you get more points for that. You want to have a functioning winch, and then this is just like the -G bumper winch mount, like micro winch mount, which works pretty good. It'll carry the weight of the entire truck. Something else that's new that's coming out with this kit are the 3D printed parts. So previously, Jess was printing these out of his shop, but it turns out like he's gonna move away from that because he's had some issues with some customers, like prints cracking, and then it's just like super time consuming and da-da-da. So he's farming out the prints to a company that's actually here in Idaho, and these are printed out of PA12 nylon with SLS technology. I don't know what any of that means. What I do know is that the prints do not look like 3D prints. Like they almost look like molded, like they're super smooth. You can see the logoing in there. And if you look on the bottom, it does not look like they're printed, if you know what I mean. And they're just super clean and they're super durable. And then, this is the new style transfer case. So it's like that SLS case with like a carbon fiber back. Like that looks so trick. I need to get this on my other crawlers. Anyway, so yeah, when I was building this, I actually got like one piece that was warped, like one piece out of his whole batch that was warped. Like typically, like when I build something, like I don't mind having to like custom fit things. Like I don't mind having to like do extra to get my kits to work. And so when I had that piece that was warped, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my heat gun and see if I can straighten it. And this stuff is so resistant that like even when I heated it, it just like went back to its normal shape. Like this stuff is like crazy strong. Anyway, so you'll know something that's different from the TC as well is that since there's no body posts, because the body of the Mojave like mounts to the skids, and these skids are specifically designed for the Mojave, you can't use the front body post as like your rubber band mount. So the servo mount just has like these screw holes in the side. So you can use that for the front, and then for the rear, I just kind of like draped a single rubber band over the rails and just kind of like wrapped it around the axles. And again, that's just to help droop the suspension, right? Just to keep the CG low. And then as far as the weight, this guy weighs, with the hard body, it weighs 5.37 pounds, which for a Class 1 truck, I'm pretty sure is pretty light. It's like half a pound heavier than like my LCG crawlers. Part of that is also going to be because these wheels are prototype wheels. So, typically we run the 5/6 wheels. Here, let me get another truck. So typically I would be running like the 5/6 wheels. This is my CCV one. That was the first run of wheels. And these wheels, I don't think he has a name for them yet, but they're like more of like a diamond pattern. And the shell and the beadlock ring are printed out of that same SLS material. So they're like, I think the wheels were maybe 10 grams lighter a piece, which helped bring that overall weight down. And then I'll just kind of show you guys my body really quick, because the, you know, class 1 trucks, like building the body is like a huge part of it. So again, this is a Mojave body, negative G, roof rack. This is not legal anymore because it needs to have like rails. But again, they just changed the rules. Got some scale accessories in the bed. Probably need more. And I think the shock hoops, they need to be covered now. So I could probably just move that box to cover that one and then do something on the other side. When you build one of these bodies, what you're gonna wanna do, where it starts to get tricky, is you're gonna wanna chop the bed for like, for clearance. So when you get these, the bed is like an inch longer. And so you have to cut it and then glue it back on. And then you have to flare the fenders for tire clearance. And it's, I mean, it gets pretty tricky, but it's a fun project if you like to work on stuff like that. All right, guys, that about does it for the C1 video. These are launching, I don't know when I'm gonna post this. These are launching, let's say I'll post this video on Thursday. The kits are gonna launch Friday, I think Friday on the 17th. Let me check my calendar. Yeah, Friday on the 17th. Again, you'll need to choose your skid length. If you're running, you know, an outrunner style motor, you'll need to choose your motor plate, whether you're using TRX4 axles or AR45Ps, and then you'll need to order custom links. So this kit is not quite as drop-in ready as the TCV1, but you know, that's just, again, that just kind of comes down to like the wheelbase and whatnot. All right, guys, if you have any questions or complaints, leave them in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.